Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here this evening. This meeting of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees is called to order at 7:02 p.m. on September the 4th, 2014. At this time, would you please stand as Richard Fleming leads us in the opening prayer, and Nancy Watton will then lead us in the pledge to the U.S. and the Texas flag.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon CFB. Continue to lead and guide our district leadership in this new season. May you always give us the wisdom to make the right decisions and give us the inspiration to meet the needs of the future. Continue to guide our students and give them the vision and courage. In your name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please be seated. Before we move on, I have some administrative things I like to attend to, and it's primarily just reading some information. And if you will bear with me, and then we'll move into the essence of our meeting. As a district, we dedicate all of our efforts and resources to our goal of high achievement for all students. And the board uses this goal to guide all deliberation, actions, and decisions. And you will get to see all deliberation, actions, and decisions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in closed session, which, as stipulated by the Texas Government Code 551, commonly known as the Open Meeting Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorney, and real estate. For the record, all of our board members are here, with the exception of Mr. Shore. We do constitute a quorum and can conduct business on behalf of the school district. Also, as required by board policy, BBD local, at each meeting of the board, the president will announce, and the minutes shall reflect, the name of each board member who has completed the required training, who has exceeded the required hours of training, or who is deficient in the required training as of the date of the meeting before any vote of the board is taken. Let the minutes reflect at this time that all members of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees are scheduled to complete or exceed the annual requirements for school board member continuing education for 2014. That being said, we will now proceed with agenda item number 2, recognition of special guests and announcements. Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board. To our guests, we thank you for coming. We know time is a precious resource, and we're honored that you choose to give us some of your time tonight by being here. I don't think you'll be disappointed with tonight's program, and it always starts with the special recognition of our VIPs. And I think I'd like to read you a quote that I think really summarizes why we think it's so important to honor our teachers and staff in CFB. And it goes like this: thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude. Gratitude is the completion of thankfulness. Thankfulness may consist merely of words, but gratitude is shown in acts. Our VIP recognition ceremony is an act of our gratitude to our educators that work so hard and give so much of their time to help us reach our goal of high achievement for all students, each student in CFB. So tonight we invite family, friends, colleagues to join in this act of gratitude when your VIP is introduced by standing with them. And Mr. Good, would you please join me in the front now as we greet and recognize each of our VIPs.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Burns. My name is Lisa Williams. I'm the principal at Davis Elementary, and I'm here tonight to introduce you to Miss Deborah Puente. Deborah teaches bilingual kindergarten and is more than dedicated, more than committed. She is a devoted teacher, educator with a strong sense of social responsibility. Deborah purposes to advocate for every child's right to access freedom and a honorable place in our democracy where personal responsibility, pride, and good citizenship render a strong work ethic and a belief in the idea that success is achievable with hard work and the right skills. As the daughter of migrant farm workers in the Rio Grande Valley, Deborah, a determined young lady, understood the idea of hard work and the importance of family. While in elementary school, Deborah's family moved among states, working in fields, and the children attended summer school and extra classes afforded them by the migrant status. Deborah positioned herself for a successful professional journey in education. She moved forward with her goals and earned her associate's degree from South Texas College, ventured alone to Dallas in 2004, and joined our staff at Davis as a bilingual ESL aide. Over the next 2 years, Deborah worked every day, never missed a day, and attended night school, graduating with a bachelor's degree from University of Texas at Dallas. She is the first of her 5 siblings to graduate from college. Teaching bilingual kindergarten, Deborah sees her role as one who continually lifts the level of learning, not only for her students, but also for the families as they navigate new and different cultures. She understands the struggles and challenges because she walked much of that same journey. According to Deborah, her best friends have been made in CFB. Deborah Puente, you are an amazing young woman and educator, and it is with respect and honor that I invite you to the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening, President Good, Dr. Burns, and members of the school board. My name is Debbie Williams, principal of Kent Elementary. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce and honor Stacy McAllister as a member of the very important profession of teaching. Mrs. McAllister grew up in Farmers Branch. She attended Farmers Branch Elementary, Vivian Field Junior High, and R.L. Turner High School. Stacy began her teaching career 16 years ago at Las Colinas Elementary and just started teaching in her 12th year at Kent as a second grade teacher. Ms. McAllister has 2 beautiful daughters who currently attend Carrollton-Farmers Branch schools. Stacy says it best, "I am partial to CFB, it is my home." Stacy McAllister has earned the title of VIP at Kent Elementary for multitudes of reasons. She is a leader who knows when and how to guide others. Her organization supports the success of her team and keeps things moving smoothly in second grade. This style of leadership encourages her teammates to bring innovative ideas to the table. She is a positive influence in our school and a delight to work with. Stacy brings a calming presence to our campus. She tackles every situation with a smile and offers quick humor, which makes coming to work an absolute pleasure. Mrs. McAllister works hard to meet the educational, social, and emotional needs of every Kent Cardinal. She is a consummate professional. Although all these are great reasons for us to choose her and to honor her, it is her disposition, dedication to her students that shines the brightest. She will go to any length for her students and often becomes a second mom to them. Her priority is doing what is best for kids, and we are so lucky to have Ms. McAllister at our campus. Stacy has served on the Campus Improvement Council and as a GT liaison and team leader. Her service to students, parents, and the campus is a huge reason why Kent Elementary continues to be the best of the best. In addition, Stacy is a loyal and devoted mother and wife, and her family's here tonight. Kent Elementary is proud to recognize and honor Stacy McAllister as a very important professional.
Good evening. My name is Dreama Mayfield, but I think tonight I would like to hyphenate my name and add Williams to it because we have the Williams sisters here. We have Lisa Williams, Debbie Williams, and Jody Williams yet to come. So I just need to hyphenate my name. As principal at La Vita Elementary, I'd like to introduce you to our newest VIP, Veronica Kratz. Veronica began her career as a counselor 7 years ago when we opened the doors at La Vita. Veronica is serving as an ambassador for CFB. She's on the district crisis intervention team, and she serves as a mentor to our new counselors. At our school, Veronica goes above and beyond helping students, staff, and parents. When I asked the staff for comments about Veronica, one person wrote, "Oh my, what words have not been said about our sweet Veronica. She is one of the most tireless, caring individuals I know, who loves little people, big people, and all sizes in between. She stays on the cutting edge of counseling research, and she's not afraid to try new practices, but she doesn't give up on the old things that work as well. She's amazing. She builds relationships with our kids, and she can call them by name. Picture the Energizer Bunny, and that's Veronica Kratz. She is constantly on the go. One staff member said, "Sometimes I wonder if there are 2 or 3 of her because she's everywhere in the building." Another staff member added, "She's the most active counselor I have ever worked with. She reaches out to our parents and our staff, providing workshops and resources to help everyone feel successful." Many of our staff members have often stopped Veronica in the hallway for a quick question, and Veronica will stop and give you her undivided attention. She's always willing to help a colleague with anything, even if it means she stays late or she stops what she's working on to help someone else. Veronica is trustworthy, fair, kind-hearted, positive, and always sees the best in every child and adult. She provides a nurturing environment with her warm smile, and even the most timid students feel safe with her. She may not be classified as a classroom teacher, but she's in the classroom each week, teaching students about self-esteem, making good choices, showing respect, and providing them with the tools to be successful. Veronica loves her job, and it shows in everything she does day in and day out. She has a passion for kids and adults, and she has a heart that's overflowing with love. Veronica, the staff at La Vita appreciates your positive attitude, your big heart, and your dedication to our school. Thank you for all you do as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening, Dr. Burns, Mr. Good, members of the board. I'm Jody Williams, the principal at Janie Stark Elementary. We are here tonight to introduce you to our newest member of the very important profession of teaching, Tammy Rosenbaum. Mrs. Rosenbaum has been a member of the Stark family for the last 15 years. Prior to becoming a Stark Stallion, Mrs. Rosenbaum worked as a research assistant at UT Southwestern. Tammy's been married for over 30 years. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in science in biology and then spent 13 years raising her family. She decided to substitute at her children's school district and discovered that she loved teaching. So Mrs. Rosenbaum went about getting her alternative certification, and she came to Janie Stark. Mrs. Rosenbaum is a dedicated fourth grade teacher. She teaches language arts, writing, reading, all of it. She's wonderful. She uses every opportunity to make sure that the students of Stark are achieving at the highest levels. Mrs. Rosenbaum has been our campus GT liaison for many years. She has conducted many GT book studies for the staff at Stark, which has been welcomed by all. When Mrs. Rosenbaum was in elementary school, she skipped second grade, and that is so Tammy. Mrs. Rosenbaum is in charge of our school store at Janie Stark, so every Friday morning at 7 a.m., you can see her in the cafeteria selling all sorts of fun school supplies to the students. And if you by chance ever need a licensed pyrotechnician, she's got that going for her too. So Stark continues to be a great school because of teachers like Tammy who are dedicated and truly believe that all students can learn at the highest levels. We at Janie Stark are pleased that Tammy chose teaching and she chose to come to Janie Stark. We are pleased to help me honor Tammy Rosenbaum as our newest VIP.
Mr. Good, members of the board, that concludes our recognitions tonight. We will have some business recognitions and other community members in the future, but tonight we just have VIPs, and so we're going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Good.
Very good, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you can understand from a board perspective that this is probably one of the most enjoyable times in our board meeting. I assure you, closed session is never fun. But this is such a thrill because what you experience, we as non-educators, at least a couple of us, or majority of us are not educators. To hear the stories and what educators bring in addition to just being in the classroom, whether it be real-life professional experience in the outside world away from public education, or whether it be people who have struggled and been challenged to get to the point they could be a classroom teacher. And something that I enjoyed the other night, recognition of PTA at Ranchview, was an understanding how many of our teachers are homegrown. And it is such a thrill to have and recognize educators who grew up in this school district, attested to the value and the quality of the education, and want to come back and share that experience. And so it's just a thrill to be able to acknowledge and recognize our educators, our VIPs. And so we are so thankful that we have this opportunity and time to say thank you. With that, we are going to move on to the next agenda item. I ask that you stay if you possibly can. You will truly appreciate the presentation on student achievement, and it goes into how children learn, acquisition, meaning, making, and transfer. You will truly appreciate and I think glean a lot from this about 15 minutes. So please, if you will, stay for 15 more minutes, and if you do that, I promise we'll take a recess after that. And with that, we are going to proceed to agenda item 3A, presentation on student achievement, how children learn, acquisition, meaning, making, and transfer. Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Members of the board. And to the audience, this is the first. We're going, not only you will get to appreciate it, you'll get to participate with us tonight. All right? Because we really truly believe that we're a learning organization. And we truly believe if you learn more, you achieve more. And so tonight, you get to learn more with us. Okay? So we'll have some audience participation. Now, those of you who are at convocation, I am not coming out in the crowd, okay? I promise. So you get to participate right there in your seat. You don't have to, although it might be on camera, we'll chase it. No. But I really, truly believe that you will get a sense of how dedicated our staff in this school district is to student learning and achievement with what we're trying to do and create a culture of that learning is important to your reaching your goals and achieving more in life. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Warnock for tonight's student achievement presentation. Ms. Warnock.
All right, thank you, Dr. Burns. What a great audience to have tonight for our achievement presentation. And our topic tonight is on acquisition, meaning making, and transfer. And we're going to put that up on the screen. Here it is. All right. In a great learning organization, you have symmetry in that organization so that everyone from the superintendent to the school board down to the kindergarten student is engaged in the kind of learning that we want to see in classrooms. I think it's important for everyone to know that your board continues to learn as a group. In this semester, the book that they're reading is How People Learn. It was published in 2000 by the National Research Council, and it's really all about how we learn. While it was published in 2000, the research continues to be validated. Visible Learning by John Hattie is the book that our administrative team is reading and studying, and the research is just echoed in Visible Learning, the same research that we see in How People Learn. So building that symmetry in the organization throughout this year, we'll be basing all of our student achievement presentations. They'll be aligned with the text, How People Learn. So tonight we're going to be digging into chapters 1 and 3 in our presentation, and we'll be progressing throughout the year through the text. Simon Sinek wrote a book, Start with Why, and in that book he talks about the golden circle, that we have to really examine the why in order to understand the how and the what. And a little bit of criticism and further research around Sinek's work has added to that circle and put the who at the center. So when we think about Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD, our who is very clear. We serve the 26,000 children that walk through our doors every day and their families. That is who we serve. The why public school, why CFB? It's because it is the cornerstone of our democracy. It is the foundation of our economy, and having strong public schools means that we preserve the nation the way our founding fathers intended. The what we teach students is very clear. It's articulated for us by the state of Texas and our essential knowledge and skills. And so we take that and we localize it here in the district. So our who, why, and what are really established for us. But the how we have children learn is the really messy work that we engage in every day, and that we're always trying to learn about and improve, because the how is what makes the difference in why children learn. We know that in order for our children to be learning, we have to capture both their hearts and their minds, that both of those are critically important to how children learn. Our content is a tool, but it is not the end. We can have the hammer, the wrench, the isolated pieces of content, but unless they all come together to build the house, all of that is for naught. And so how do we do that? How do we take these isolated pieces of content and pull them together in order to have children really transfer and be able to build their dream? Russell Quaglia has done a lot of research all over the world, and he's talked to students about what they want out of school. And we're replicating some of this research in CFB. We started this week with our campus visits, and at those campus visits, we're sitting and talking to groups of students about how they learn, what they want to learn. And just in this short time, we've already validated this research that's been done around the world. Students want to do work that makes a difference for themselves and for the world. They want to learn with technology that's relevant to their time. They want to do work that appeals to their day, their world where they're living. They want to be engaged intellectually. They are curious. They want their teachers to love them. They want to interact with their classmates. And they want to be able to connect to others around the world. And so when we start talking about that kind of authentic work that we can provide for our students, it's important to understand the learning process. And so when we look at authentic learning, we really look at 3 stages: acquisition, meaning making, and transfer. When students can articulate this process, when they understand that I first have to acquire the building blocks, the foundation pieces, once I've acquired those, then I can make connections and make meaning, and then I can transfer that learning to a new process, a novel process. I can solve a new problem I haven't seen. Then I truly have ownership of my learning. And when they understand if they can't transfer, then they aren't able to make meaning yet, but I need to go back to the make meaning stage. If I can't make meaning, maybe I haven't acquired the building blocks. And when we have students and teachers understanding those 3 stages, then it helps us be able to articulate learning and know what stage we need to move with students. So with acquisition, another word we might think about is automaticity. We want students to be able to learn accurate, timely recall, important facts, and discrete skills. Unless we have those building blocks with automaticity, we can't connect ideas and make meaning. I was at one of our campuses this week talking to a 2nd grader who was learning about combination of tens. And so I talked to her and I said, well, tell me about this. How do you combine a 10? She said, well, it's 2 parts that make a 10. I said, well, if you had 4, what would be the combination? She said, 6. I said, well, what about a 2? 8. Well, what about a 9? 1. I said, well, what is your strategy for understanding that? Are you counting on? She said, I don't have to count. I have it like a snap. I said, you have it like a snap? She said, I do. I have this automatically now, so I don't need a strategy anymore. That means she has acquired. So that is really where acquisition is. Meaning making is once we have that building block, we have it with automaticity, then we can connect it to other things in our brain. We can connect it to new content. We can figure out significance, big ideas. We can draw inferences, and we can make sense of one idea, many ideas, all connected. So that's where meaning making occurs. We believe that in acquisition, technology really can play an important role because we can engage students in acquisition activities in a very engaging way through technology, but the teacher is critical in meaning making. I can do flashcards and multiplication facts and all of that in an app on an iPad, but I can't make sense of it without a teacher directing and guiding that activity. Then transfer. This is where we see the role of problem-based learning, project-based learning, where we have complex problems, challenges that we present to students where they have to draw on all that they know and transfer it to a new situation. Where we have students that are speaking, writing, using science and mathematics all combined to solve a problem that they're facing. So this is when we know that a student is autonomous control of the learning. So that is something that's important, and the transfer has to come from the student. I went to a conference 6 years ago and heard the awesome Rita Pearson speak, and she talked about strategies that we use for students in poverty at the acquisition stage, when we're acquiring. She had the whole audience stand up. This is foreshadowing of what is to come. And she had us all say, rhyme, rhythm, repetition, and relationships. Rhyme, rhythm, repetition, and relationships. 6 years ago, and I can still have this rhyme in my head. And what that is we learn more and more about how good strategies for English language learners, which we all know are great strategies for all learners, is that total physical response is when we connect a body movement along with chant, rhythm, song, concept. And when we put those 2 things together, we imprint on the brain. We imprint, and it helps us to recall that information. So the point of tonight's activity up to this point has really been about acquisition. So we want you to acquire this knowledge, this new information. So as we started thinking about total physical response, we started thinking, A, acquisition. Meaning making. We have those connections that are happening in our M. T, transfer. It's a you do. It's important to you. The student has to make the transfer. So we started thinking A, M, T, and then of course, you know, what that leads to. We started thinking about, hit it, Tracy. It's fun to learn. A, M, T, the learning process. A, M, T. You acquire something new, make meaning to, and transfer's important to you. Okay, so now we're all going to do it, okay? Okay. All right. So this is where we modeled and we did the kind of risk-taking that we ask our teachers and students to do every day. That's a hard thing for a teacher to get up and say, we're going to sing and do this chant, and I know you're a bunch of middle schoolers, but get along with me. You know, that's a risk that we ask our teachers to take. So we're going to model, and we're going to chant it out in rhythm. So we invite everyone to join us, and then we're going to sing, but we're going to start with chant, okay? All right, so we go. It's fun to learn, A-M-M-T. The learning process, A-M-M-T. Acquire something new, make meaning to, and transfer's important to you. Okay, so are we ready to sing? We all know. All right, here we go.
Maybe not sing, but
I want to turn this.
It's fun to learn. A-M-M-T. The learning process. A-M-M-T. Acquire something new, make meaning to, and transfer important to you. Good job. Okay, so yeah, now we can be seated.
that'll be up on YouTube later.
Okay.
Will YouTube what?
All right. Okay, so I guarantee when we come back in 6 weeks and say, what's the learning process, that you will think A-M-T, okay, acquisition, meaning making, transfer. You would have that imprinted. Yeah, see, all right. So this next step, we're going to make meaning. So this whole point, up to this point, we've been acquiring our knowledge. So we have some background. We've done an activity to make that imprinted in our brain. So next, we're going to apply, okay? So we know our codes, A, M, T. So we're going to look at the examples of some tasks up on the board, and this is how we're going to make meaning. We're going to see if we can connect what we know to a task. So students memorize words from a vocabulary list of the words. Would that be acquisition, meaning making, or transfer? Let's hold up what we think it would be. Be bold. It's okay. We're risk takers. All right. A. All right. Okay. So, yeah, absolutely. So that we would say that's an A, acquisition, that we're memorizing those words. We have to get those with automaticity. Students use the recently learned words in various speaking and writing situations. Acquisition, meaning making, or transfer?
Meaning.
Think it's transfer? We think it's meaning making?
No, it's meaning.
Okay, so I'm going to say transfer. We'll see. So, because they're using something new in new situations. Students make a web of the words relationships and concepts. So they're making a web between relationships and concepts. Okay, we got the our meaning making. We're connecting. We're finding, how does that connect to something else? How does it connect to something I know? Students read a story containing the new words and explain their meaning in context. Meaning making, transfer, meaning making, transfer. So they have the new words and they're explaining in context. We would say that would be a transfer activity. Yeah. Students group words and consider, what did these have in common? meaning making. Yeah, so we're looking for those connections between. Students critique and edit a paper in which the new words are misused. And we would say that would be meaning making. Oh, man, okay. Yeah. We would say that's meaning making because the words are already there, and so it's just checking to see, do we understand how that they were used? So, test, retest. So that would be an activity that we could do to make meaning, and if we were going to transfer, we might ask you to create a teaching piece that was designed around transfer or designed around meaning making. So this is something we're going to be continuing our learning with. To conclude tonight, I wanted to share just one short passage from our book, How People Learn. Processes of learning and the transfer of learning are central to understanding how people develop important competencies. Learning is important because no one is born with the ability to function competently as an adult in society. It is especially important to understand the kinds of learning experiences that lead to transfer, defined as the ability to extend what has been learned in one context to new contexts. Educators hope that students will transfer learning from one problem to another within a course, from 1 year in school to another, between school and home, and from school to the workplace. Assumptions about transfer accompany the belief that it is better to broadly educate people than simply train them to perform particular tasks. And that concludes our presentation this evening. Thank you for being great participants.
Questions? I'd like to validate something that Ms. Warnock stated. Yes, this was a board assignment for this summer. And I must admit, this was excellent reading. It was validated general assumptions we sometimes have, but have never read the document that did the research to authenticate it. So that was a marvelous assignment for the summer. Thank you, Dr. Burns. And board members, I saw.
Thank this staff over here, they're the ones that, they
If-
tell me what to read, I read it.
Okay. Board members, any questions? If not, we are going to take a short recess, so our audience would love for you to stay, but I'm sure that you want to go get ready for school tomorrow. And we'll take a 10-minute recess, and the time is currently 7:38. This board meeting is reconvened at 7:48 p.m. And the next agenda item is agenda item 4A, audience for guests. And what audience for guests is a mechanism that the board uses to receive feedback and input from our constituents. If you would like to address the board, you will need to fill out the form you found as you entered the boardroom and place it in the box provided or give it to Ms. Scrivener. Your comments should be restricted and pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 3 minutes. Our timekeeper is Ms. Watton. And she knows how to keep you on task. Remember that the board may not discuss or act on any issues that are not posted in our agenda for tonight's meeting. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board can defer discussion until the appropriate time during the meeting. I do have one audience for guests. Ms. Scrivener, are there any others? No, sir, there are not. Okay. At this time, I request that you go to the microphone over here to your right, state your name and address, and the timekeeper will then start the 3 minutes. The first one is Willie Rainwater.
Good evening. My name is Willie Rainwater. I live at 2006 Southern Oaks in Carrollton, Texas. To the president and Dr. Barron and the board, I want to say thanks to you for the work that you do. When I come tonight to you, before you, because I'm so excited over, some years ago, we started a journey on bringing different cultures, race of people together, some over 50 years ago. And this year is on behalf of my family, the Rainwater family, on behalf of the Afro-Americans in Carrollton. We want to thank you all for the work that you're doing now. And this year, it was 20 years of Annie Hedge Rainwater Elementary School had been built. We're so excited on that it's still going strong. We got a good principal, and we're asking everybody to come out on September the 17th. And I just received an invitation a few minutes ago. I'm already giving you guys the invitation, personally, my own self. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, we will now move on to agenda item 4B, consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items that are clumped together to be voted on a single vote. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the public notice for this meeting includes the list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance prior to any action taken on this consent agenda. The board members may request withdrawal of individual items for clarification or discussion. Board members, at this time, are there any items on the consent agenda that you would like to pull? Ms. Watton.
To abstain from voting on item 23 because I was not at the, no, at 22. Because I was not able to be at the pre-meeting
Okay.
that time.
At this time, I will take a motion to approve the consent agenda with the correction that Ms. Watton stated. Do I have a motion?
I would move that we approve the consent agenda as presented with the amendment as described by Ms. Watton on item 22.
I have a motion by Mr. Shackman. Do I have a second? Mr. Matthews. Board members, any additional discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. We will now move on to agenda item 4C, review of board standards of professional practice. We are not taking any action at this time. What is occurring at this time, board members, since we are dedicated to ensuring that our board standards of professional practice are always up to date and in compliance, I would like to assign a committee to review and make any recommendations for changes and present that at the next board meeting. And I have assigned Ms. Nancy Klein to chair that committee, and Mr. Shackman and Ms. Watton, if you would also participate. The three of you will, at your convenience, however you like to do it, go through our professional standards and see if there are any corrections, any recommendations for changes. And at the next board meeting, present your recommendations that the board can take action on. Therefore, that is all that we're going to do on agenda item 4C. While we are on this issue, I would like to appoint a new audit committee. And you will have the opportunity to participate, I believe, probably starting in October, if I'm correct. And there are 3 individuals I'd like to have serving on that committee. Our experience, Mr. Fleming and Mr. Shore, and our third person, Mr. Shackman. And we will be hearing from that audit committee later as they go through the various processes and reviews. With that, we're going to move on to agenda item 5, which is comments from board members regarding posted agenda items. Board members, are there anything that you would like to present that we have had regarding the consent agenda? Are there any comments at all on agenda item 5? Hearing none, seeing none, we will move on to agenda item 6, which is closed meeting as authorized under Texas Government Code, including but not limited to section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property, 551.074, personnel matters, 551.076, security devices, 551.082, school children, district employees, disciplinary matter are compliant, 551.0821, personally identifiable student information, 551.084, investigation. As allowed under Texas Open Meetings Law, the next agenda item 6A will be in closed meeting, which is superintendent evaluation. And we will go into closed session at 7:57. This board meeting is reconvened at 8:13 p.m. and we will go to agenda item 7, which is reconvene our public meeting to vote on matters considered in closed meeting. There were no items of action taken in our closed meeting. However, for the benefit of the audience, what we have done, we have established the guideline and the process we're going to go through to do the superintendent evaluation, which we will be undertaking over the next month. And we are streamlining the process so that we do not have to impose upon ourselves an extended amount of time here in the boardroom to do this. Therefore, the board members have all of this information needed to do the evaluation process. So for our viewing audience, we say, come back next month for the rest of the story. And we'll let you know the outcome and what is the outcome for Dr. Burns. With that, board members, I believe we have agenda item 8. We have reached the end of our agenda. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, we are adjourned at 8:15 p.m. Thank you.